Hey guys, and welcome to Top Channel 101. And today I'm just going to do a video about Blender versus After Effects. I used to use After Effects for doing motion graphics and other things, but then I switched to Blender. And I think anyone who uses After Effects, you should know that Blender can basically do everything After Effects can, but After Effects can't do everything Blender does. And here is an example of an ad I was trying to do inside Blender. I have a stadium and basically a very active stadium, and just does this reveal of whatever this is, stink, perfume or whatever. I wanted it to be a stadium reveal, and actually it was something I saw on Behance. This is the ad by Mustafa Azam. I'll be leaving links to this page if you want to check it out. I just liked all the details that were in this render, so I decided to try it in Blender, and it's something that I did in about 2 hours, I think, because I just made sure that I didn't make too much. You can see this stadium is just something simple. And I'm going to post the time-lapse on my second channel. This is just going to be an overview of the entire project. So if you want to see how I did the step-by-step, you can go over my second channel, Blender Everything, and you see there. You can also get the project file on Gumroad or Patreon or YouTube membership. Yeah, you can see we have a grass field, and then we have our product, and then the stadium in the background with a lot of bouquet or defocus in it, and then these things. So the main thing was the stadium and populating it with a crowd. You can see the crowd is just some cutouts of people, but from a good distance you can't even tell. You just think that this is an actual crowd, and let me show you how I did that really quickly. So the crowd is made out of these cards. It's just an image texture. Let me see if I can find it. It's a collection of cards called people, so I'm just going to get this. So I have this image. I have an image like this. I think this is it, and what I did is just use a knife tool to cut out the hair. You don't even have to be perfect. You just have to trace it out. You can use alpha. For example, if I grab a new image, a new plane here, give it a new material, and drag in this image. You can, by the way, just drag from the image you want directly here. You can try to extract an alpha texture from this. So using the ramp here, you can create a black and white mask. Yeah, something like that, and use transparency, or just plug this directly into the alpha and this into the color. I think we would need to invert this using the invert nodes. So you can create an alpha mask. Where is my image? Yeah, you can create an alpha mask like this, so that you can see through the white area, and this would also be fine. The issue is that when you have multiple images like this, when you have a lot of images with alpha textures, it tends to slow down your viewport, even your render, both in Eevee and Cycles. So since we are going to have hundreds of alpha cards like these, many behind each other, as you can see here, this would slow down my viewport quite a lot, especially if we are going to use Cycles, because then you would have to increase the light path transparency value here. So because 8 wouldn't be enough, you would have to use something like 60, and that would also increase the render time for this, and most of the time it's not going to even look as good. And since the camera is going to be far away from these cards, there is no need for me to really have a perfect trace using the alpha texture. So that's why you see I just cut out the mesh directly using a knife tool. Where my people here, let me just, yeah, so that's why you see that I just made cutouts like this, and you can see that even when I'm here, it doesn't really show, especially if they are animated like this, and the animation is done using I made the animation using the particle system, so that they bop up and down to add some bit of animation in them. And the way I made these seats is just using the array modifier. Let me first turn off the particle system, or the particle systems. Yeah, so I have this arch here that I use the array to to stack into steps. I'm using an empty object. So for example, if I have an empty, let me just add it here and use that as the object target. When I scale it up, you can see how I can use its coordinates as to transform the array object. And when I raise this up, and I think I have to move it in front, you can just scale this up and raise this, and now I have a stadium just like that. And so let me go back to my original object. So I'll just do Ctrl Z. Okay, so this is my original stack with the steps, and then I instance some particles on this, which is going to use the cards collection. So the particle system is just a hair system. The particle system is just a hair system that uses the people collection I created with some random scale, and I think for the rotation is set to normal, and I also randomize it a bit, so you can even animate this value to add in some bit of motion just like that, or just like that. You don't want to do it too much as you start to see some intersecting issues that way, but I added some bopping up and down like that to add more excitement into the stadium by just animating the scale value. I just set one keyframe and use a noise modifier on that channel. So just adding a noise modifier with a very low frequency, or with a very low frequency and a very low scale. If it's high, you can see we get even a more excited crowd. Doing something like this in After Effects would just be too difficult. I don't even think it would be possible. So I do another copy of the same thing and I put it as another flow. Then I add this divider, which is also the same mesh, but this time I add these banners, which is just a single image. I think it's a city image that I animated using these coordinates. So I'm just animating this map. I'm just animating the X and Y coordinates to make it move like this, so up and down from the distance, and with bokeh it won't even be, it will just look like those billboards you see in stadiums. And so I had multiple layers. In the same way I had this. If you look at the render, you will see that we have some lights in there. I think, yeah, we have a few lights in there. I should have added more. And in fact, if I take a look at this in cycles, I can, let me just name these two lights for those who get the project file so that they can easily identify it. Let me use increase more, 5,000. So you can see we have maybe people raising up their phones. I think, yeah, I should have turned this on as well. So for this here, you can play with the seed. And then the flags is also a different layer. All I did is animated a flag just like this, which is just using a displacement modifier and an empty to animate it. So I have a noise texture applied to this, and let me just bring up a new empty here to show you what's going on. So this, I'm using the coordinates of an empty like this. If I move this, the flag would wave. So that's how I have that animated, and all I do is then go into a crowd like this, all the steps here. Let me first turn off all the other particle systems. So all I do is create another particle system, hair system. I use about 100 particles, and then the object is the flag. I randomize the scale, randomize everything, and you can see that the animation takes over. You can still animate these using some of these properties. So you can add a wave animation to this, and you will have something like that. And or you can even animate the original flag itself, waving back and forth, and you would have the same effect. So I'm just layering different pieces together to get this. So here is the layer of lights, and I have some facing up, which shouldn't be the case. So I created a vertex group for the faces facing up, just like that, and I can use that in the particle system to make sure only those only the flags only appear on the faces facing up. Actually, I wanted that to be applied on the, yeah, I think, yeah, this vertex group should also be for the flags as well, so that we don't have any flags that point in this direction. And for the lights as well, I can use that so that these lights are only added to the faces facing directly this side. So I will have to switch this. Yeah, so something like this. And you can see they are emitted directly onto the plane. So I need to give them an offset. So all you have to do, so that they are above the crowds. For example, right now, if I switch back the crowds, you can see that they are barely visible since they are behind the cards. So what you can do is find the light object. So it's called lights color, and I can just come in here, search for the lights color. Yeah, this one here. And all I have to do is just offset. It just make sure that the pivot point is the light mesh is above the pivot point. That way, when it's instanced, it's always going to be above the characters. So if I look at this, I can still edit this and just raise these so that they are above the characters. And let me also make sure bring back the crowds here. So you can see that now we have a lot of lights. That's too many. So let's use maybe 100, maybe 200. And when you animate the seed, you should be able to get different locations for the light. Maybe people are taking pictures different times, so something like that. It's a nice touch to add into that. Then what else? Then yeah, I think for the most part those are the main things. Let's take a look at the render again. So we have some lights in the background, we have some confetti just falling down, and that's just another particle system of a single piece falling down. Very simple. And I made sure to increase to add dynamic rotation and increase the angular rotation to 10. That's why you see that those pieces are rotating as they fall down, which looks more realistic. Then what else? Yeah, the grass is basically grass. There isn't. Yeah, if you watch this time lapse, you'll see the different settings I use. I can't even remember why I use some of the settings here, so I can't go through them every one by one. But yeah, you can see the grass looks quite realistic, and I made sure that the background isn't lit. I was basically trying to follow the same lighting from this render here. The light is mostly focused here, and then the stadium gets its lights from those flashes. That's what I also try to do here. You can see, and we have a lot of bokeh in there, and I also added in these lines, and I think this one should should move out so that it's not going through the can. The grass is also just a particle system, another particle system, hair system. And maybe you can take a look at my hair shape. I'm using a diameter of 0.03 and a tip of 0.1 and a diameter root of 1.9. Yeah, to get me the grass like this. It's better to just look into the project file and examine the projects, because I don't even remember the settings I used, because I was changing them quite a lot depending on what I was looking at. And these settings would also only work if you have the same dimensions or if you're working at the same scale as I'm using here. So yeah, it's just about experimenting. If you use After Effects and you're just rendering an image like this, just a single image, After Effects would be great for something like this. But if you're trying to make an animation, there's no way you are going to. I can't think of a way to create the same animation like this in After Effects. It would be too hard. Adding flags, confetti, and even with the 3D features they're adding to After Effects, I don't think you'd be able to do that. By the way, the lights in the background are just simple. Sometimes the simplest way to do things is the right way to do things. So you can see these lights are not complicated. They're just face cards scattered. This here, very, very simple, but yeah, it's an efficient way to do things. And I think I'm using a particle system. I tried my best to avoid using geometry nodes because I wanted to do this in the simplest way possible. And I think the only time I used geometry nodes was to animate these lines. You could animate them with because they are curved objects. You could animate them using, let's see, is that even? I remember they added a trim option, path animation. Let's see. Yeah. You can animate them using this trim option. But I don't remember why it's grayed out right now. I don't remember why that would be the case. Okay, so if you increase the depth, then you're able to animate using the trim, and I should have used that. Yeah, but they are circular, so instead you just use a Bezier line if you don't want them to be circular like that. I use that as the bevel object. Where is my line? Okay, here. Yeah, that would, if I wanted to avoid using geometry nodes, it would still be possible by just doing this, and it would be much easier to do so, and I'll still get the same thing. Anyway, that's it. If you want to check out the project files, all links are going to be in the description. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. If you want to see the time lapse of the whole process, it's going to be on my second channel, Blender Everything. So see you there as well. Thank you. If you watch this till the end, maybe you are interested in geometry nodes as well. Take a look at my course, and